Okay, ready when you are.
My name's Aidan Egton. This is my final project presentation for my project for 2020. So, introduced to this project, I was asked to exhibit a digital world exhibit for an exhibit to demonstrate a range of digital skills used in industries in today's digital world. And the theme for this exhibit was the Land of the Giants. So, for this project, I was allowed to pick anything, but it had to do with the theme. So the idea I picked was the fable, The Hare and the Tortoise, because it fit the theme, and it's something I wanted to do. So, and that's my mood board I did for it. So my aims for my project was I wanted to, my animation I wanted at least a minute or longer. But one way I could have reached that was to make sure I put enough keyframes in, so I'd make sure I hit it and make sure it was longer. My second aim was to make sure everything was to size, so it wasn't all not to real size, because it was a bedroom, it had to be to real life size. So I went away and I researched each thing, like my drawers, my bed, my table, my chair, my lamp, all the size measurements for it, and then I scaled it properly in Max. My final aim is my final animation must fit my target audience. So one way of research was I just went away, researched my audience as much as I could, all about them, like what they liked, what they disliked, all that, what's appropriate for their age and what's not. So yeah. So when I was researching, I had to do primary and secondary. So for my primary, I did a questionnaire for when I finished my animation. I did it just get some feedback on how well I did, and or what I can improve for next time if I ever do this again, or if I do it for another project. My secondary research, I went away and I researched about the toys, the room, my target audience, and all like sounds and sizes for everything. I made sure everything was to what it should be and what I was aiming for. So my target audience was for young kids aged 5 to 10. So my animation must fit the requirement toward my target audience of kids. So it must be kid friendly, have no blood or swearing in it, because it's not me, target audience. Also, it should have a bit of an educational meaning, because fables were used to convey a moral message to kids. So what we had to do was, for our thing, we had to make a project plan so we could show that we could manage our time wisely and make sure everything was done for the deadline. So yeah. And then what we did is we used certain tools and modifiers. So certain tools I used was the basic ones were the move, scale and rotate to sort everything out. I also used Editable Poly to add detail to my models and my scenery. I used spline tools to make certain things, like have rounded corners that needed them, like a mat, some other things. The modifiers I used was extrude. For when I was using splines, you have to extrude it so it actually looks like it's a shape instead of just a line. But yeah, I used the wave modifier to make sure my curtains looked like they were curtains, that they had like bumps in it and stuff, and wavy. And then I used the bend tool for when the tortoise, because the shell, you'd have the top bit, but then you'd have the ring around it, and I wanted to bend it so it was a little bit bent, so it doesn't look all just circular. But I just bent it slightly just to make it look real. So yeah. So my final animation. So that was my final animation for this project. So that was what I made for my final thing. So, and then finally, I evaluated what I'd done. So, in conclusion over the whole project, I think I did very well, but there could have been a few improvements I could have made to make it better. Like the one problem was my timing when I was rendering. Is I few times I'd messed up by when rendering, I'd accidentally click on the wrong viewport when rendering and then had to re-render it again. Or if I didn't put the light exposure on, if I accidentally had it on and I didn't turn it off, I'd have to re-render it again. So I did kind of waste a bit of time with that, and a few other things was like, another one with my tortoise model, what I was going to do is I was going to model the whole of the body together, so there was going to be a body. But instead, because it was so messy and just the geometry wasn't very good, instead I just modelled each foot and just played it off like there was a body inside by putting a plane in front of the hole where it looked like it had a body. So yeah. So that's mine. Thank you for watching.
Okay, can I ask you a few questions?
Yes.
Your characters that you modelled, what techniques did you use to model those?
Mainly it was just like box modelling, I think.
Okay.
I just used box modelling
And did you find that a good technique?
yes, very good. It was very helpful, and
Why was it good for your models?
because it wasn't so much time consuming and I didn't have to keep going back, and I could just, do it there, and I didn't have to waste any time using other modifiers and getting it wrong, wasting time.
Okay. Do you think the story of the fable, do you think you've portrayed that well in your final deliverable?
I think I portrayed it well, but it could be portrayed a little bit better with the animation, I think. It's a little bit,
What part? Or
like mainly near like the end, like with like the rabbit falling down could have been a bit better, I think. Because it looked if I had a bit more time, I think I could have made it look a lot better. Or just a little bit running wary for time because of me messing up the renders.
okay. And out of the whole experience, what do you think you've learnt the most from it? What are you going to take away and potentially kind of on your next project that you do utilise?
Mainly just using the After Effect, turning it into a video.
Okay, so more editing.
More editing, yeah, because I could do modelling. I learned a lot with After Effects and how to use it.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions?
Since it was taken from the fable, was there not any audio or like a poem you could have taken and you could have put over it to make it more recognisable?
Not on the website I found, unfortunately. I should have maybe reached out to see if I found one, but no, I didn't find one. Should have maybe done that. That's quite a wise idea, yes. Didn't think about that.
Nothing else? Okay, thank you.